So we can get a whole feel for how the adrenal's working, how the estrogen, progesterone's working, and then we can see the copper. Now, we may have copper that's in a normal, in a normal range, 2.5 is normal, and we can get copper at, 1.5 to, 3, and that's going to be pretty normal. But we may have a hidden copper. If calcium is above 100, hidden copper. If the calcium-potassium ratio is above a 10, hidden copper. If the copper to molybdenum ratio is below a 0.003, hidden copper. Or just molybdenum below a 0.003 is a hidden copper. So we have many ways of detecting hidden copper because we have to be able to analyze a hair tissue analysis to look for the signs of a hidden copper, even though you may on first glance look like you're in the right range. But understanding, whenever we see low sodium, low potassium, we see the high calcium, we see the high calcium-potassium ratio, these are all signs of hidden copper toxicity, because copper is one of those amazing minerals that is the Jekyll and Hyde. In the right number, it's fantastic. In the low, variance, in the right temperament, then it becomes very destructive to the human body. So we got to be able to see where, we have these problems, and the hair tissue really picks these things up. And so again, remember, copper blocks magnesium, zinc, molybdenum, manganese, B1, C, vitamin E, and folate. So understanding that, we can see that the antioxidant nutrients, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, if copper is there, it's going to oxidize it almost immediately. If you have excess copper and you're doing an IV of vitamin C because you're being treated for your cancer, as soon as that vitamin C hits the blood, if that copper isn't dealt with, it will oxidize the vitamin C, and it really just kind of burns it out before it even does anything in the body. So we have to understand this big picture when we're looking at it, and now we're going to connect the cancer to this. And here we have, on my whiteboard, we have what we call carcinogens. Carcinogens, basically we got 3 carcinogens categories. We got the chemicals, the metals, the radiation. The chemicals, the plastics, the petroleums, all the chemicals that are being released, all these xenoestrogen type of things. The metals, cadmium, mercury, copper, arsenic. These heavy metals become very carcinogenic. Radiation becomes carcinogenic. When we start to see all these carcinogens bioaccumulate year after year, and if we can't dump them out because of gut dysbiosis, because of weak adrenals, then it keeps bioaccumulating. So these carcinogens take a normal cell and they cause DNA mutation. They mutate the cell. Usually zinc and magnesium patrol the DNA. And if the DNA is not being patrolled by the zinc and the magnesium, because that's the auditing system. Remember, copper wipes out zinc, copper wipes out magnesium. So then we create a cancer cell. Now, when the body has a cancer cell, usually that cancer cell should be able to self-destruct. It should explode because we don't want cancer cells growing. We want to be able to turn on, hit the button that will blow it up. That's called apoptosis. So apoptosis is dependent on estrogen and progesterone. So when we have the estrogen dominance, that estrogen dominance will stimulate the cancer gene called BCL-2. So high estrogens increase this cancer gene, BCL-2. Remember, the progesterone's going low because we're estrogen dominant, and progesterone, when it's in normal levels, will trigger this gene, P53, to turn on the apoptosis button. And it'll actually, this P53 will turn on this process right here, which will turn on the cytochrome C oxidase system to hit the actual apoptosis button. And this is the importance of copper and iron. This is needed in that cytochrome C area, so it can actually, the gene sends the signal to hit the button, and this is actually the button that frees the cytochrome C to hit the apoptotic button to blow up the cancer gene. So if this starts to break down, then we have the proliferation of the cancer cells building up and building up and building up, and then we have what, a breast tumor or whatever area of the body, we develop the tumor, we develop the cancer. Then the cancer, will keep making abnormal copies of each other, and usually this is patrolled by the lymphocytes, another system, another police system in the body to kind of keep things in check so it doesn't go crazy and haywire and spread the cancer gene. But the lymphocytes, your immune cells, are dependent on zinc, iron, selenium, vitamin C, vitamin E, and vitamin D. Remember, if you have that high copper, we're going to knock out the zinc, we're going to knock out the iron, we're going to knock out the antioxidant vitamin C and E. And then the lymphocytes don't work, and then the cancer proliferates. Now, maybe the cancer will go from breast to bone, and that when it metastasizes, that cancer needs a blood supply. The blood supply, when they're laying down new cancer cells, if it doesn't have a blood supply, it won't grow. But that blood supply is, guess what mineral it's dependent upon? You need copper for angiogenesis. That angiogenesis is a copper-dependent mineral. So with this high copper, the metastases will grow like that. If we don't deal with this copper, if we don't deal with the copper, if we don't deal with the estrogen, we are going to be prone to the epidemic of our age, which is cancer. Remember, 1 out of 2 people in this country have cancer or will get cancer. 1 out of 2. Let that sink in. If we don't look at this with a more clearer picture to understand how this is devastating to human health, we got to really start understanding this. And again, we have ways of testing these things. We have, if there's a problem, there's always a solution. Remember, that solution it's nutritional medicine. Nutritional medicine with appropriate testing, using hair tissue mineral analysis, using, maybe we run a hormone panel, maybe we run a GI panel, see how that gut's working, maybe we see some of the foods that are causing sensitivities. So we have many tools to just kind of evaluate where you're at. Then we can come in with a sound nutritional program. If we're dealing with copper, we're going to come in with the nutrients that are going to keep the copper at bay, but we got to do that intelligently, because when we start dumping copper, it causes amazing symptoms. We call that aggravations, we call it a Herxheimer reaction, we call it an aggravation. So we have to be careful how we're using these nutrient minerals, because we got to take it slow, because we may go through a copper dump in the first round, we may build you up and then do another dump, because you got layers. The body is layered. If copper is in the bones, that may take 7 years to get out. If the copper is in the skin, that may take a couple days to get out. So it depends on where the copper has bioaccumulated, and understanding this is fundamental to getting it out so we can start restoring our health with nutritional medicine, sound detoxification programs. Again, if we're not detoxing, that we're going to have that liver stagnation, and we don't want that. We got to open up the liver pathways, because the liver, if you have the adrenals working, sending the signal to the liver, if the liver pathways are all clogged and blocked, it won't release it. So we got to start putting this together, and the mantra of the day has to be nutritional medicine and detoxification to get to the bottom of our chronicity plaguing our country, specifically this estrogen dominance and this cancer epidemic. And at my workshops that I'm holding here, we're going to be talking a lot about hair tissue mineral analysis. We're going to be talking about how the thyroid, adrenals, and blood sugar and liver are all intimately connected. So we're not separating the body. We're looking at it holistically. We're looking at it from a whole. Medicine has kind of divided the body into the 12 systems. So we have cardiologists, endocrinologists. You know, we got all these specialties in medicine, and we forgot about the whole. So we have this myopic way of looking at it when we have to look at the body from a whole point of view. So if you want to learn more, send some questions, send some emails, come to my workshops, because nutritional medicine is the paradigm shift that is happening today. And we want to be able to really analyze the nutrients in our body, because there's a concept called biochemical individuality. Everyone is unique, so we have to be able to see that. We're all like a fingerprint. Everyone's biochemistry is similar to a fingerprint, very unique to the individual. So when we get the information from a hair tissue and from other tests, we can put together sound programs that fit your biochemical individuality. So that was my talk on estrogen, copper, and cancer. If you have any questions, let me know, and thank you for watching and taking the time. Have a good day.